been showing you coverage of kind of some bad roads, and there are a lot of cars out there, and maybe those cars would be involved in an accident. Well, if you are involved in a car accident or a crash, what do you do? Attorney Lawrence Kajy is here with the Kajy Law Firm. First of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Charlie. I'm really
going to give you a hypothetical, okay? Car 1 stopped at a light, okay? Stopped. I'm driving car 2. I see the light, I put on my brakes, but I rear-end the guy in front of me because of the roads like we're showing. Am I responsible?
Yes, that's a great question, Charlie, and that happens all the time. And as you can see the weather today and how it's been recently, the snow actually makes it obviously a lot harder to drive. The snowy roads, snowy conditions, icy roads. So in that hypothetical that you mentioned, there are 3 different types of coverages that I would like every single person to look at and make sure they have the proper coverage for insurance. So the first one is what we call...
We're talking about both drivers?
Both drivers, that's correct. So let's say you rear-end somebody. There's a few different coverages that will apply. Let's say you're injured in that car accident, right? You have to look at what we call personal injury protection, also known as PIP coverage, right? This includes your medical coverage and also your weight, if you're injured and you can't work after an accident.
Let's break it down. We don't get too complicated. Okay, we got 2 cars over here, okay? First of all, I'm the bad driver.
Yes.
Okay? Let's say let's talk about the other driver.
Yes.
This didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Okay? But he's got something called no-fault coverage or PIP coverage. Yep. Who pays his medical bills if he's hurt?
So that's a great question, actually. So everyone knows that Michigan is a no-fault state, right? What does that really mean? If you're involved in a car accident in Michigan, no matter whose fault it is, your own insurance company will be responsible for paying certain benefits. What benefits are those? Your medical bills, your lost wages. Those are all covered by your own insurance policy.
Now, because it's the law, you have to buy no-fault coverage. Let's talk about that injured person who did nothing wrong.
Right.
Now, his own insurance company, his own no-fault, AAA, State Farm, Progressive, there's a whole bunch of them, they have to pay. But how much do they have to pay? Isn't there different levels that you can buy?
There are different levels of coverage, and that's also a great question. So the smallest kind of coverage that you can purchase is a complete opt-out, meaning your auto insurance company will pay nothing after an accident, no medical bills, no wage loss, nothing. The next step up is $50,000.
Well, why would I do that?
Well, some people try to get a cheaper policy, and then they regret it after an accident happens. So obviously, I don't recommend doing that.
Okay.
The next coverage is $50,000, $250,000, $500,000 and unlimited coverage. And I hope that all the viewers, everyone that's listening, will purchase unlimited medical PIP insurance coverage on their auto insurance policy.
Is that more expensive than some of these other coverages?
It is more expensive, but it's not that much more expensive, and it can really save you.
Why do you recommend that?
Okay,
unlimited coverage.
I'll give you an example of why I recommend that. So I had a case recently where a client was tragically injured in a car accident, paralyzed from the waist down, spent about 5 weeks in the hospital. When he left the hospital, his medical bill was over $400,000. He only purchased $250,000 in PIP coverage. So he was personally liable for the remaining. So the insurance company paid $250,000 to the hospital. The rest was his personal liability.
Now, can he sue the bad driver that hit him for that?
Another good question. So if the other driver had more coverage, had good coverage, yes, the excess medical bills, the excess wage loss, the excess economic damages will go towards that other person's what we call bodily injury coverage, which is another coverage I want to discuss today.
But you don't want to risk that, though, because if I'm the bad driver and I hit someone and I get injured, I can't sue anyone. And my bills are $400,000. My own insurance company, even though I'm the bad driver, must pay.
Right.
That's what's called no fault. No fault, doesn't matter.
Don't want to take the chance, right? Make sure you get the right coverage. Make sure you get it the first time around, and I have to depend on what the other person's coverage is, because you never know what their coverage is.
So don't skimp on these policies.
They could have no insurance, actually.
Yeah.
I saw some recent data that said over 1 million drivers in Michigan have no insurance coverage, meaning they're driving without insurance.
Yeah, and that's against the law, by the way.
Yes.
So something called, let's do one other thing. We have a couple of minutes here. Okay, we have to buy the no-fault coverage. Doesn't matter who's at fault, they'll pay your own medical bills. Forget about suing. That'll be the next show, okay? That's a different one. What about uninsured? Well, it's kind of about suing here. Suppose someone hits me and has no insurance.
Yeah, it's a great point. So one of the most important coverages you can get in terms of your policy is what we call uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. So just like you said, it covers you in the event where you're hit and injured by someone that has no insurance or very, very little insurance. And the minimum in Michigan in terms of coverage for bodily injury is $250,000. The law does allow you to pick lower coverage.
Which means that if I injure someone, the most my insurance company would pay for my negligence is $250,000.
Correct.
How much do you recommend?
I recommend getting at least $500,000 in coverage or more. And I say this because from my experience as a car accident lawyer, and I've handled many, many cases. I've settled a lot of cases.
It's good for lawyers, isn't
yes.
it? Lawyers love those big policies.
Yeah, but at the same time, it'll also avoid any lawyers from trying to go after your assets personally. Right? If you have a case that's worth $500,000, but your policy is only $250,000, now you're personally liable for the excess in $250,000.
All right, the bottom line here is that this stuff is a little complicated. We just got to scratch the surface here. But Lawrence Kajy, who does this stuff day in and day out, if you have any questions, they can call you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There's the number on the screen. We'll put all this information again on our website, fox2detroit.com. We'll do it again, okay?
Thank you. Sounds good, Charlie.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Quick break.